So far away, Eric, what is your favourite actor to have played Superman?
Christopher Reeve.
Of course, the original. Superman is a character defined by the fact that, for all intents and purposes, he is a god in human form. And it's for this reason that the first actor to physically play Superman on screen didn't think that he was the man for the job, something DC Comics disagreed with when they saw his thighs. So I guess first things first, far away Eric, you are a new addition to the channel, but I've worked with you for the past couple of months, yes? So for everyone at home who's coming like, who's this Eric dude, would you like to tell them who you are?
I am Eric Malachite. I'm a published author, video editor, and I'm the production manager at Top Tens LLC. So I'm currently managing all three channels, Top Tens, Biographics, and Geographics. Yes. And I work with Karl on pretty much a daily basis now.
Yes, so if anyone who's not checked out those channels, you should, because I'm the interim host over there. And I've been working with Eric for the last couple of months on that. So I thought, I'll bring you over to my channel. You put me on all yours for the past 3 months. You should come to mine.
And I appreciate it. This is really cool. I've been a fan of Fact Fiend since 2018.
Which is so weird. I was just telling you a story before we started recording of, like, I frequently encounter people who are fans of the channel. And the weirdest story for me is a very, very good friend of mine who I briefly dated, who was in her house with her boyfriend and just... she heard my voice coming from the other room. She's like, what? And she walked through and her boyfriend was watching one of my videos. And she had to explain to him, like, why are you watching this guy? Oh, he's really funny. Have you ever seen one of his? Like, yeah, I went to high school with him. Just one of those, like, weird things. Oh.
Yeah. I have a similar story. Not quite on that level, but my buddy Sam, who still lives in California, and we play Call of Cthulhu together from time to time. We were sitting down to play, and he's like, the coolest thing happened to me. And I'm thinking he, met a celebrity or something, and he's just like, man, I was, like, blown away. I saw your name in the credits of one of my favorite YouTube channels. I'm just like...
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you're out there, you're out yourself, you've been working. You're a journeyman, like a content creator online. And speaking of journeyman content creators, we're talking about the first actor to physically portray Superman. And do you happen to know who that was? The trivia part of your brain? Have his name here?
It was one of the black and white serials.
Yes.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
He was a guy called Kirk Allen, and he is pretty much only known for playing the Man of Tomorrow, because playing Superman basically killed his career. And he's one of the actors associated with the so-called Superman curse. And while he didn't get it as bad as George Reeves or Christopher Reeves, his career certainly died.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting talking about, like, the Superman curse, because depending on who you talk to, they'll have, like, degrees of, I don't really believe that the Superman curse is real, or what have you, because X, Y, or Z, ended up having a pretty long career and is still in good health. Where do you fall on that?
I think it's one of those things where it's not... I don't like it as a curse, but it's certainly very interesting that two of the people playing Superman who had, like, terrible accidents before them had the last name Reeves. Looked very similar, which I guess makes sense because they were both playing the same character. And... also, like, just there's so many, like, just additional things, like, say, like, Kirk Allen's career died. Henry Cavill has just been stuck in, like, actor purgatory where he's always been on the cusp of becoming a leading man, and then every series he's in just gets cancelled.
Well, I've heard rumors that Henry is not, like, the easiest person to work with.
Yeah, he's like...
so that might have more to do with it than, like, an actual curse.
Yeah, he's like a weirdo perfectionist. I remember it's the story when he's like the Witcher series where they're talking to him, he's like, well, in the books they do this. And it's like, okay, well, that's a book and this is a TV show. You'll notice that we're not making a book, we're making a TV show. Its adaptations require changes. Not always, like, accurately reflected in the source material, but that's fine. It's like, but in the book, though, and it's like, God damn it.
Right. I'm not one of those people that gets, like, upset about having to change a piece of fiction depending on the medium.
That's the whole
depending
point.
on what those changes are.
Yeah, it's like...
I mean...
yeah, I'm the same way of, like, well... the whole point of adapting it is to reinterpret it in another way, and a reinterpretation would naturally require some things to be changed. And it's always interesting to me to see something that's well established in fiction seen through someone else's perspective. Like Superman's a great character for that. And we've had so many bits of Superman media that are just the same story told over and over again. It's like, I am tired of seeing this story.
1 second, Carl.
Yes.
I need to shut my office door. I cracked my door thinking, my cat, it has separation anxiety, basically. If I close the door and she's in here, she wants out. If I close the door and she's out of here, she wants in. So I didn't want the cat yelling in the background. Damn it.
So I can see you on the second you said your cat's just doing the thing of...
You were the worst. Come here. No, come here.
Professionally unprofessional, folks. 'Cause no one could see what I could see on my camera. It was almost like perfect comedic timing. If you went, yes, my cat's an asshole, and it'll want to get out of the room the second that I shut the door. And then in the background of the shot, I'll just see your cat go to the door and just go... It's like, the cat's got great comedic timing, but bring it back to Kirk Alyn playing Superman. Like, while he didn't think he was a great actor to play Superman, he certainly thought he'd make a pretty decent Clark Kent, as did pretty much everybody to do with like the casting of that first Superman serial. Because according to Alyn, when he first walked into the casting meeting, the first thing a DC executive said to him is, "Hey, it's Clark Kent."
I need an image of Kirk Alyn, because I know that there were two different actors that played Superman in the serials, or was it two different actors that played Batman?
I think it changes. Like, although serials, like, it's one of those weird periods, because like the Kirk Alyn serials were like kind of forgotten because the George Reeves one was so popular. But you also had like the radio show, which I'm like a big fan of the radio serials. Because the actor who played Superman in the radio serials, I like the idea that he played Superman and Clark Kent very differently. I've always loved that idea, similar to
Christopher Reeve. Yeah, his interpretation was like almost comical, but like when you see Christopher Reeve transform physically from Clark to Superman,
we have to mention that, don't we? There's that iconic moment that people single out where it's like, here's Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent becoming, and he's like, he walks in, he's like, his body language is like this, and he's all hunched over, and he's really, really timid, and then he just stands up, he grows like a foot on camera, and he looks up, he takes the glasses off, and then he starts speaking more authoritatively.
I better get a coat. It might be kind of cold up. No, I mean, I need a person. I have to fix my hair and some blush on.
It's like, I've always loved that idea of like playing the characters differently.
I think for me, seeing Henry Cavill's performance, and his performance is very understated. Like, Henry Cavill's a good actor.
He's a good actor, yeah. He's a handsome guy.
But Reeve was a legend.
Yeah,
I think.
I think the issue as well is he doesn't play Superman too differently than he plays Clark Kent, whereas Christopher Reeve always played Clark Kent and Superman as two different characters, similar to, like, the guy who did the radio serial, similar to a lot of the actors. And then I'm thinking like Kevin Conroy as Batman, where they asked him, so how do you play the difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne? And he said, well, Batman, I always play Batman as if that's the voice, and that Bruce Wayne is the disguise.
You have to take it a day at a time, but for however long it takes, you have a home with us.
Thanks, Mr. Wayne.
I realize that Superman 3 is not everyone's favorite Superman film.
I don't think it's anyone's favorite Superman film, no.
Give it a rewatch, Carl, because, like, I gave it a rewatch recently because I was just, I was drunk. I was having a good time. And I put it on, and it's basically like a wacky Golden Age story come to life. Like, I didn't even mind the shenanigans with Richard Pryor because Christopher Reeve just sells his performance. He's so earnest.
All right.
Come on, you come on!
And, like, even bits of Superman 4, he's still giving it his all, despite how terrible the movie is.
And that's what a lot of people always say. That's why Christopher Reeve's often held the gold standard of the character, because you buy him you buy that he is this good-natured farm boy from Kansas. And Kirk Alyn, when he was went in for the audition, said, you can play a great Clark Kent, but he himself disagreed that he could be a Superman. Because it was his opinion that, like, obviously you look at the comic book, like, this is such a idealized version of what a man could look like. He's literally the Superman. No one could possibly ever look like that, and there's no way we could realize his more fantastical abilities like flight and heat vision with the modest budget a black and white television show could. And I'd argue that they still kind of don't get that right when you've got like the Henry Cavill weird CGI mustache mess.
A man I knew used to say that hope is like your car keys. Easy to lose, but if you dig around, it's usually close by.
Oh, yeah. Like, they tried to do a tonal correction with the Whedon cut, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't fully work.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And I'd argue that, like, the only time we've ever really seen Superman feel like Superman is, like, in terms of his power set, is the Zack Snyder movies where he actually feels powerful. Because an issue I always have with, like, superhero movies is when, like, these characters are supposedly, like, all-powerful. And then what do? Well, they kind of, like, can punch a little bit. It's like, but that's not what would happen if, like, a character like Superman threw a punch. There would be a sonic boom and you'd fly 1,000,000 feet through the atmosphere, which happens in that movie.
I'm sort of in the minority when it comes to Man of Steel, I think. I think there are aspects of the film that are great. It's got some rough spots, but, like, the depiction of his powers are on point.
Yeah, like, I like the part where he's having the fight against the Kryptonians and the entire fight scene is being constantly shot by bullets. That is just the detail of he's constantly being shot by machine gun fire and just does not give a fuck. And I think the closest we've got to that since has been like the Invincible show. Where I think in the latest episode of Invincible, there's just a shot of Omni-Man chilling near a black hole. He's just stood next to a black hole and doesn't give a fuck. And it's like, okay, that's what a character that powerful should be doing.
Right,
He's just chilling next to a black hole and is like, yeah, I guess. Or like where he punches his son and like a mountain splits in half. Like, that's what would happen.
Absolutely. Do you read a lot of One Punch Man?
I read a bit of it, but I couldn't afford to keep buying them, so I started reading the webcomic, but the webcomic's art is so bad by design, and it's like, so I kind of dropped off after, like, I think reading it, deep seeking, watching it was the Lord Boris fight. Okay,
so I've only gotten a few chapters into it. I like it. I think it's really funny. I just haven't had time to read it. But my buddy, who is like all things shonen manga nerd, he sends me constant like memes that I don't get from JoJo's. He knows I don't get them too because I haven't had a chance to read JoJo's yet.
That's what, and even if you watch JoJo, you should still not going to get what it is, because like, my favorites are just like just the poses that they do of like people like completely sideways walking like this, and just the captions just like when you reach you under the fridge for the ice cube that you dropped, you're like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, some of them are really good. But he sent me this meme where Saitama is deadlifting a freaking pair of black holes.
Yeah.
And then hands it to Goku, and Goku fades into the black hole. I'm like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah, he's deadlifting a black hole, which I don't think is from the thing. I think it's just fan art somebody did.
I thought it was like something that happened in one of the newer chapters.
It might be. I know there is an episode of the show, presumably in the manga as well, but it's where like one of the villains just says, I can control gravity. You're now experiencing what a black hole feels like. And Saitama's like, which I guess is the joke. And that's what I feel like Superman should be like. And I always... It's like, do you know when you go back and watch like the cartoons and it's like the villain of the week punches Superman and he flies back? You're like, that shouldn't happen.
I agreed with you to a point, but Superman the Animated Series is a classic.
Oh, yeah,
like,
it's great,
like Batman the Animated Series. And they actually depowered him on purpose
so it'd be interesting,
in the beginning, because it was more like Byron's run in the beginning of the 90s. So it was a little more like that without his certain idiosyncrasies in his writing.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite version of Superman. Like, not my favorite performance, but I think that's my favorite version of Superman, especially going into Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, because he does get to that point where he's just ridiculous.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die.
The thing is, I always get mad watching those Justice League Unlimited shows where during the like having the board meetings around the table.
Yeah.
And it's like you sat there and like Batman's like talking up. It's like Batman. Shut up. It's like every talk they should have is like we've got an issue this week, and Superman should be like, I'm going to throw it into the sun. It's like, but no, we've got. I think there's a webcomic someone did of like, here's how every argument should go with the Justice League. And so like, I'm going to throw it into the sun. Because no, but we can do. It's inside like a building. I'll throw the building into the sun. I'll walk through the walls and throw it. And it's like, what about if there's kryptonite? Okay, if there's kryptonite, you can figure that out. All the Justice League should be doing is like figuring out to get rid of the kryptonite to get it away from Superman, so you can throw the problem into the sun.
JLU's fantastic though. I think the Cadmus arc is one of the best.
Oh yeah, I love the show. Yeah, but it's just as an adult when you realize of like, why is like every episode of like just random villain of the week can just punch Superman after he was fighting Darkseid last season? And I guess it's because they don't expect kids to like be power scaling at home.
Well, think about it this way: Superman is such a nice guy. Do you think that maybe he, stage falls a little bit when he's fighting?
I think
villains?
so. Yeah, I do like fully buy into the headcanon that Superman can see where Batman is all the time, but when Batman hides, he just pretends not to see him. But I fully believe that when Batman like disappears or sneaks upon Superman knows that he's coming, but he pretends he doesn't because otherwise it'd hurt Batman's feelings. Like when he's like when he like disappears, it's like Superman knows where he went.
Yeah, you ever watch the Pete Holmes Badman sketches?
I did not know.
Check them out at some point. They're pretty fucking hilarious. There's one where Superman is making fun of Batman because he keeps hiding behind like ductwork on the buildings. It's
like Superman. If people don't know in the comics, he memorizes the heartbeat of everyone that he knows, so he can hear them anywhere on Earth. So if there's ever a problem, he can just fly there and find them. And then somehow they expect to believe that Batman, a guy dressed like a billionaire ninja furry, can sneak up on him. It's like just the noise his suit would make just by just breathing in and out, and like the sound of like the body armor going in and out. Superman would be able to pick that up from 1 billion miles away. Like he can hear across space.
Like I'm a pretty big Batman fan, but like I think people get the whole relationship between Superman and Batman and trying to pit them against each other totally wrong. Because really, they're best friends, and they're best written when they are best friends.
Yeah, they're best friends,
and they bicker like best friends.
I think one of my favorite interactions between Superman and Batman I think it's like one of those Justice League like war or something like that, where it's Batman and Superman on the run, and they break into a place, and Superman flies down. Batman uses grappling hook, and Superman just looks at Batman and says, I can just carry you, right? And Batman says, yeah, but I hate when you do that. And that's everything you need to know about their relationship. Well, bringing it back to Superman and Kirk Allen, when he was explaining to DC, look, I don't think anyone could realistically play Superman. He's too buff. They were like, well, we think you're in pretty good shape, right? It's like, I guess so. And what he did is he took his shirt off and did that like pec flexing thing. Like he legit took his shirt in the interview and started flexing for them. They're like, yeah, we think you could play Superman, but we do need you to take your trousers off. And Alan was like, what do you mean I need to take my trousers off? I was like, well, your chest. Okay, you've got a good chest, but Superman is perfect, so we need to see those thighs. And Alan was like, I don't really feel comfortable taking my trousers off, my pants for the Americans out there in front of you. Is there anything else I can do to show that I've got strong legs without being in my underwear? And they were like back and forth for a couple of minutes of like, okay, well, can you lift her? Can you lift that lady over there? And he's like, I guess so, yeah. What do you want me to do? And he's like, well, carry her up the stairs. And he's like, would that prove that I can play Superman? I went, I guess so, yeah. So he ran over to the lady, picked her up and sprinted up a flight of stairs. And they went, okay, I guess you've got strong legs, you can play Superman. And For anyone out there who's thinking, well, that's pretty impressive, Alan was 37 when he did this. So he was 37 years old in like the 1940s, so probably a diet of cigarettes and bourbon.
Oh man,
He just picked up
differently back then.
Yeah, and he just picked up a dame, well, you know, some hot dame, and just sprinted up a flight of stairs dressed like Superman, and that's how he got the role.
That's amazing.
Just that thing, and like that is something that's kind of true to a lot of like casting stories around Superman. Are you familiar with the idea that basically they still have the Christopher Reeve suit?
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the things they do is every time someone comes in to like screen test for Superman, they make them wear that suit. And Henry Cavill did that when he went to play Superman. And there's like a great interview with him where he takes a picture where he looks good, and Henry Cavill's like, "Oh, I look so bad. I look so," because he can tell he's got like 5 days worth of stubble on, and he just went
right.
Like his first day of school.
Like the quote was, he said, "I look like that looks like shit," or "It looks like shit," and he was very serious. Like he was angry they showed it.
Because it was supposed to be behind the scenes. And apparently something similar happened with Batman, with Robert Pattinson, when he went in to play Batman, because they didn't have the Batman costume ready yet. They're like, okay, well, we've got a bunch in storage. Which one do you want? And it's like they had like the Val Kilmer one and the George Clooney one, and he had to pick which one he wanted to wear. And it's like, if you're in that situation, you'd have to pick the one with the codpiece, right? And the bat nipples. You'd have to pick that one.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was Robert Pattinson, I would not be able to resist the urge to rub the bat nipples.
Yeah,
too.
Apparently that was the one that he got to wear because they have them all in storage. Like, we need you to put it on to see if like you look good. Because essentially, people wondering why do they do this? They essentially just want to know, do you look good in the costume? Like, it's all about the face. So one of the things they do when they cast Batman is apparently they just, I think Matt Reeves, when he was casting Robert Pattinson, when he started considering for the role, he just got a picture of Robert Pattinson and just kept covering his face up, like the top half of his face to see his jawline.
Right.
That's how they pick. So we want you to have a good jawline because that's what people are going to see.
I think of all the actors that have played Batman on screen, Pattinson's jawline is like, it's the best one.
That's one of the things they want to, like, so he said he just went through all the actors that they had shortlisted and kept covering up the face. Apparently something similar happened for like RoboCop, like Peter Weller, and originally they were going to cast Arnold Schwarzenegger because he had a very strong jawline.
I would kill to see that version of RoboCop though.
But what they said is there's no way we're going to get him in the costume because he'll just look ridiculous. So they got Peter Weller, who's a lot thinner. And they just covered up the top half of his face, and he's got a very strong, defined jaw, and he has like very kissable, sensual lips. So he's able to emote with the bottom half of his face. Similar thing with James Marsden for playing Cyclops. Did a similar thing, kept covering up the top half of his face, because you're going to have to emote with the bottom half of your face the entire time.
Right, but like when it comes to James Marsden, especially when the Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out. So James Marsden, I think, would make a fantastic Superman, and I think his performance in Sonic the Hedgehog shows it, because he's just a Boy Scout in that movie.
This is something I feel like I need to do. To grow as both an officer and a man. What do you think, Sergeant Sprinkles?
His performance in Enchanted, I think you'll find, where he's so good in that. But, you know, that's enough Superman for today. Like, Eric, you're here more than anything to promote Top 10s, Geographics, Biographics. So tell people at home, like, you know, what do you do behind the scenes there?
So I'm handling a lot of the rough editing. I work with you on making sure that scripts are in the Trello boards and stuff like that. I work with the sponsors to make sure sponsored videos are going out on time. And basically, I just make sure that the machine's running correctly.
It's a lot of work behind the scenes, yeah. And it's like more work than people probably expect. I think fact theme videos are very, very simply made in comparison to other YouTube channels. Like when I was first learning the ropes of the behind the scenes of Top 10s, like just the amount of people that you have behind the scenes. Like, so it's easily like half a dozen people touch a video before it even makes it to the front page.
Right. And, you know, obviously everyone knows that Simon Whistler left. Mm-hmm. Well, not everyone, because we're still getting comments about it. He had a lot of great team members, like Jennifer. She's fantastic video editor, A+, S tier editing, really.
God tier.
Right, yeah. And I've learned a lot just working with her, so it's great. But we're able to get her on board, and we have a great thumbnail artist as well. And sometimes when our thumbnail artist isn't able to do as much, or because we really have just so much content being made right now, I was kind of amazed that you were like able to keep up with all of this, because it's a lot.
Well, that's what threw me off, because like obviously we're so used to, for years, Fact Fiend was 2 people, then 3 people, and it's never been more than 4 people. And then there was that period when I was doing like writing, recording, and editing, and thumbnails all on my own. During a period where we were taking a break, and it's like apparently I was doing the job for like 8 people. I'm like, I'm going to put that on my CV.
Yeah, absolutely, do that.
Because now I just do the recording, and that's the easy part. It's real easy.
Right. And honestly, like, props to you for getting used to the teleprompter situation so quickly.
I've got a second screen, and I position it behind the camera.
Hey.
And what I do is I zoom in on the text, and I have the text just above where the camera is.
Yeah, I mean, it works.
Hey,
if it works, it works.
Unprofessional. If it works,
was that,
it works.
That string of videos where you were looking to the right a little bit, and I was too busy with the move to like send you a note about it.
So it's just a lot of videos where I'm just staring straight past the thing. But yeah, hopefully people out there, you can go check out the links below to those channels. I've really enjoyed working with the guys there. And yeah, if you want to see more like, just factual goodness, it's all located there. And I believe, Eric, there's like some stuff people can look forward to in the future, but we have like a minute left on the recording. It's going to be quick. So tell the people what they can look forward to.
Like, what do you mean? As far as, like, my own stuff or top 10s?
Of course, promote your stuff.
So I'm in a bunch of different anthologies right now. I'm in the Neo Cyberpunk collection, volumes 1 and 3. I'm in the Books of Cthulhu series by Crossroad Press, Macabre Inc., specifically Tales of Nyarlathotep, that's out right now. We're working on getting Tales of the King in Yellow or Tales of Hastur, whichever title they end up going with. My story's really long. And there's some other things. I've got 5 books out right now. The most popular is Mind's Horizon. It's a cosmic horror novel set in a modern ice age in Riverside, California. And terrible shit happens in it after a group of survivors discovers a top secret research base where they were conducting all sorts of weird, macabre experiments.
There we go.
And I write cyberpunk too.
There we go. Links to all those things can be found below. The recording ran out halfway through your spiel about books, so I'll tell Lucas, just let it fade out to darkness, and they can just hear all that.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out now. But cheers everybody for listening, and catch you all next time.